I am Jeffrey Robinson, a summer intern with the National Sports Media Association, and today I am interviewing Maggie Davis, who won the 2024 NSMA Kentucky Sportscaster of the Year Award. She has worked with WLEX-TV since 2020 as a sports anchor, producer, and reporter, and has done freelance play-by-play commentary for ESPN since 2022. So, Maggie, how are you doing today?
Hey Jeffrey, thanks so much. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on and man, making me sound old. I think like I hear those years and the number of years I've been doing it. I still feel young, but I have definitely gotten a lot of good experience here the last couple of years.
I'm sure you have because being thrown right into the fire in the middle of COVID, it's got to be difficult.
Yes.
So I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that, but go ahead and tell me a bit of your background and your career so far.
Definitely. Well, you hit the main points. I'm really lucky and I think really kind of rare in the sense that I have not moved around a ton, which I know is unique in this industry specifically. I'm in a very unique situation at LAX 18. We're the NBC affiliate in Lexington, but I think the big picture is also we're the official UK station. So we're the media rights partner with the University of Kentucky and its athletic department. So for us, what that means is we have a much bigger than normal sports department. We have 7 people, which is unheard of in present day sports local news coverage. But we also have a lot larger amount of time to fill. We have a lot more obligations in terms of what we're doing on a daily basis. Yes, we still do the very typical 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 11 o'clock newscasts. We have sports with the normal, 3.5 minutes or so amount of time in each of those newscasts. We turn for the morning or in the noon, the 12:30. But we also do this little unicorn in live local news TV, which is a full 30-minute show just about UK athletics. So we do that 5 days a week, 12 months out of the year. And from August until May, we also do a half-hour Saturday morning show called BB and Game Day. So we're very rare, again, like I said, in terms of the amount of just bodies that we have in our sports department, which I know makes us lucky. But we're also very unique in terms of how much content we are tasked with filling and finding every single day, which is unbelievable that I get to do that. So for all of those reasons, I haven't moved around a ton because I've moved around a ton in our own department. So you mentioned the title I have now, obviously, is host and anchor, as well as reporter and producer. I actually came on in 2020, right out of college, as the associate producer for BBN Tonight, which is still the show that I work on. But over the past 4.5 to 5 years or so, I've really added kind of one responsibility at a time. So I came in just as that AP working behind the scenes, and then eventually started learning how to MMJ, shoot my own stuff, figure out how to light an interview, all of that stuff, just that comes with being very early on the on-camera side of things. Got to do a little bit of on-camera reporting, started working my way up in that realm, became a fill-in anchor for our show, and I've now been the full-time host for a little over 2 years. So it's been great, and I'm again very lucky to have not had to pack up and buy a U-Haul every 2 years. I know that that's rare, but I have done a lot of different stuff throughout my time at LEX 18.
What would you say is your favorite thing that you've done so far?
Oh my gosh, right now, but that's such a cop-out answer, because I've never taken really anything off my plate, if that makes sense. I got that first AP title when I moved here and got this job, and then I added AP slash MMJ. Then I was AP slash MMJ slash fill in anchor. Now my title is anchor slash reporter slash producer. So I'm still doing a lot of the same stuff. I've just, gotten to also be one of the two faces of the show alongside Keith Farmer, who won the same award a couple of years back. I love Keith, and we have a really great time and a really great team. So for me, again, I know it's the cop out. I'm sorry for that, but I love what I do now because I'm really honored to get to host the show and be the representative in that way. But my passion has always been the writing and the storytelling that comes with producing and reporting. So I'm really thankful that even though, yes, I do a little bit more now in terms of what it entails to anchor a show every day. I also know that my sort of base will always be in writing and storytelling. And so I'm really grateful that I have still gotten to do that. And I'm still doing that right now, even while I have added a lot more anchoring responsibilities.
So did you grow up enjoy writing, enjoying sports, and you just kind of merged the two with sports media? What did that look like for you?
Yes, great question. And it sounds really easy when you say it like that. It did not feel easy for me at the time. I remember being really confused and just really uncertain would probably be the better word in terms of how to combine them. I grew up loving sports. I'm from right here in Kentucky, so I grew up loving basketball and football and horse racing and the SEC and everything that comes with this amazing state. But I also was a very realistic child. My parents don't do anything like this. My mom's a CPA, my dad works in banking, so I grew up with parents who are very much, we do things that are much more logical. And I was raised that way. I'm still that way. I don't know if it's right-brained or left-brained, but I'm not very artistic by nature. I'm not, very go with the flow. I'm not spontaneous. I like to plan. I like to know what I'm going to be doing, when I'm going to be doing it, who's going to be there, what I'm going to wear, all those things that don't always come with this job. So for a long time, I didn't really see anything to have to do with journalism in terms of being my actual career. I went into college as a biology major on the pre-med track. Thought for a while I wanted to do anesthesiology, which is totally different than what I do now. Obviously, I did that for a year in undergrad and then just decided, hey, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And around that same time, I got an internship really just for fun with a sports blog in town, Kentucky Sports Radio. They let me write a couple articles every Sunday. That's how I got my first taste of what writing for a sports company could look like. Again, I was just a freshman in college, so what the heck did I know? But I was taking journalism 101 just almost as an elective, even though it wasn't my major, just to dip my toe because I knew I would enjoy it, even though I didn't think I could turn it into a career. But I think the combination of that class plus my internship that actually showed me, hey, there are a lot of people who do this full time, and there are a lot of great people who do this full time in a lot of different unique ways. So this was 2016, 2017. Obviously, social media had been around for a while, but it was definitely an era where like the digital media sphere was really blowing up for probably, early on in this era we're in now of how big social media is in our industry. And so for me to see all the different paths people were taking toward a career in this field, that showed me, hey, I don't think I have to just do this as a hobby or for fun or whatever. I don't have to continue taking these chemistry classes I hate. Let me change my major and commit to journalism full time and haven't looked back ever since.
I definitely don't blame you for switching from chemistry to journalism. Absolutely not.
Yes.
I could never take a chemistry college class. I barely did well in high school as it was, so I get it. So moving out of college into the job market, how did you do initially? Was it daunting being a fresh out of college with a degree? What did that look like for you, and how did you land where you're at now?
Yeah, well, you mentioned it at the beginning. I graduated during COVID, so that really was starting, late February, early March 2020. I was in school at the time at UK here in Lexington, was actually interning at this station, LEX-18. But my main job at the time, other than being a student, was I was still working for Kentucky Sports Radio. So I'd been there 4 years at that point. And I'd done everything from those Sunday shifts as an intern to becoming one of their women's basketball beat writers to moving into football. And then my last 2 years of college, I got the chance to cover the Kentucky men's basketball team, which was huge for me in my career. And again, just really cementing the fact that A, I could do this, and B, that I want to do this. Was being around some of those programs, especially later on in my college career. And they were amazing with me, letting me stay on and work a little bit during COVID, even though there were no sports happening. So
Mhm.
I knew graduation was coming up, but all my professors had kind of told us, spring break is about the time you should start applying. There's not a lot of local TV stations that want to hire somebody in December who's not going to graduate until the middle of May. Most of the time, if you see an opening for a job, a sports reporter job at a station, they want to fill that more likely than not as soon as possible. So I was fully planning on applying mid-March, early April, and then seeing where the dominoes fell from there. And then obviously COVID happened and everything changed. So
Mhm.
I stuck on with KSR throughout that entire summer as I did the whole job search thing, which was very daunting, especially because of the lack of sports opportunities that were happening at that point in time. I applied everywhere, and that's the advice I still give people. And it seems hypocritical of me as someone from Kentucky who went to UK and has now worked 5 years in Lexington to tell people to cast a wide net. I understand that sounds ridiculous, but I can't tell you how close I was to moving to Oklahoma for a job that was not in sports. I was hoping I could incorporate some sports, but it was a job with the Oklahoma State, the school, the university, and thinking I'd be able to cover, maybe a little bit of their athletics programs. But really, my options were so limited. And so I was putting myself out there in a million different ways, trying to find any opportunity. And just the way the cookie crumbled, LEX-18 signed a deal to become the official UK station in that same summer. And when they did that, they created the show I now host, BBN Tonight. I never would have thought this is what I would be doing, but again, it's just been really good timing that I was interning here my last semester of college. COVID happens, everyone's all over the place, no one knows what's going on. And then the station in my hometown has an opening for a producer on a UK sports talk show. So again, I know that's very rare, and I know I'm very lucky.
Well, is there someone that's really helped you out so far in your career that you look up to in that way? Is there a specific person you're thinking of?
Oh, so many. I mean, my mind immediately goes to Mary Jo Perino, and I hope she watches this because I want her to watch all my stuff because I want her feedback because she's just the best with everything. She's not in the business right now, but she worked in this market for such a long time. I just absolutely idolize her. She's actually on the NSMA board. She's a winner of this award. I believe in Kentucky, we're now the only two women to have won it. So that is a sorority I'm very happy to be part of. Mary Jo was a big advocate for me in applying for my first job here at LEX-18. Even though she was the host at the time, she was very outspoken about wanting to get me opportunities, which was something I was really worried about, not with her in particular, but in this industry, there's such a stigma of it being cutthroat and not wanting to help the person behind you. And that was never the case with Mary Jo. And so I'm so thankful that even right out of college, when my title literally was associate producer, if there was something she couldn't do or thought I might be good at, she was the first person to say, "Hey, let's send Maggie to that instead. Let's let Maggie do that. Let's see how she does. Let's test her and see how it goes." And I could not have done anything that I've done since then without those initial doors opening for me. And it would have been really easy for her to say, "Oh, we're getting to interview the Kentucky basketball team today. I'm the host of the show. I want to do that." But instead, she was like, "No, let's split this up. Let's let Maggie do some of them too." And that just completely opened my eyes to how important that is. And it's something I'm trying to pass on to the people who come up behind me now. So, Mary Jo really laid the foundation for me in that way.
On that topic, kind of passing that on to people who come
Yeah.
up behind you, is there a piece of advice that you would give someone coming out of college, maybe finishing the end of college, who's trying to get into the sports media industry?
Yeah, I would say people trying to get out of college, it's just to continue networking. I think for me, especially with it being COVID, I really got into a rhythm of being unashamed to message people, whether it was on LinkedIn or social media, X, Instagram, whatever. And it, sounds kind of silly to say you're going to slide into someone's DMs in a professional way, but there are professional ways to network, even with someone you might never meet in person. I've talked to a lot of people in this industry that I've never even seen in person, but they've watched my reel or given me advice or passed my contact info along to someone else who helped me with something else. And I think our industry is really great at that. So many of us are glued to our phones and our computers, and we are checking our DMs and our messages for the most part. And so it really has been a good way to get in touch with people. So just because your schoolwork is coming to an end, and just because maybe those like kind of built-in networking opportunities that come with being a college student, like there's so many alumni functions or things that happen on a campus where it's very natural to meet people and network with alums and your professors and people they know. Just because that comes to an end doesn't mean getting your name out there and networking with people in an authentic way that can never end. I'm 5 years deep right now still. I had the best time ever at the NSMA Sportscaster of the Year conference we just had a couple weeks ago because there were so many people that I had never interacted with. And then there was a lot of people, honestly, that I had talked to on social media over the years and had never seen in person. So getting to build those connections is something that never stops. So especially if you're at the end of your college career, it's not really necessarily a time where I'm going to tell you like go find an internship or whatever. Like just keep networking, just get your foot in the door. Your first job is not going to be your forever job. You just have to get that first opportunity and then work your tail off from there. And I think that's how it goes.
Well, that's great advice, and thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me today. Congratulations on your award.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Good luck to you. How long are you doing your
Uh,
internship?
So I'm doing this until the end of the summer. We're wrapping up here soon, and then it's back to school for me.
Amazing. Well, congratulations and great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.